Hi, good evening. I'm Steve from Steve's True History and Knowledge channel. Today I'm going to give a presentation on Lake Turkana, its people, and its relationship to the Nile. The Turkana are Nilotic people, meaning Nile River people, originally from Sudan. Before I do that, before we get into the presentation, just to give you a little bit of a background about myself, I've been researching mainly the origins of religion and Egyptian history for the last 10 years now. But I found that I had a lot of questions, so I needed to go farther back in time to answer the questions that I had. So I started all the way at the beginning of man, pretty much. And so I made videos on all that information, and I'm kind of trying to work my way up from the beginning to Egyptian history and Western civilization. So I started a series, and then this is going to be number 15 in that series, and it's just brief kind of presentations on certain things to get us up to Egypt, with the hopes of answering any questions that anybody might have. Because a lot of scholars, when they write a book or present their research, they're only starting from a certain time period. So we're missing a whole bunch of information on how did we get there. So this presentation on Lake Turkana, the Turkana people can tell us a lot of where the Egyptians came up with their religious beliefs and how they formed their government. Because the Turkana are Nilotic people, the same as Nubians are, and Nubians are responsible for at least 50%, if not more, of Egyptian society and formation of the state, the Egyptian state. So that's kind of, so I think probably most people want to come to my channel and watch the videos on, like how the Egyptian god Atum is actually the Adam in the Bible, or how, what's my other videos on serpent worship and ancestor piety, and how the plagues of the Bible are based on the seasons and the year of the Nile inundation and stuff like that. So I think most people enjoy those videos because they're interesting, and I also enjoy that as well. But it was important for me to have a strong foundation. So if anybody had any questions or tried to debate me, I can always pull up further back information that's going to help me to win that debate. So that's kind of like give you an idea of where I'm coming from. So Lake Turkana, its people and its relationship to the Nile. The Turkana are Nilotic people, meaning Nile River people, originally from the Sudan. And I just wanted to stick this in here. This is some, so on the previous videos we were covering the earlier history of man, and I just wanted to show a picture of these ancient African sites. And the most important thing from this list of sites is just looking at how the Omo Basin, Omo, and Omo 1 have continuously been occupied from, about 5 million years ago until 35,000 years ago, if not still today. But these are the ancient fossil sites that have been dug there. And this is the only location that we see that has that continuity for that long. And this is where mitochondria Eve DNA was found. So that I'm just trying to emphasize the importance of Omo and the beginnings of our family tree, at least from the female side. And then the other interesting thing about this, so to the left, these are mostly Kenya sites, the oldest ones, near the equator. And then you kind of start to move farther north, and some are south. And then as you get into the two most right columns, you start getting into some of these Egyptian sites like Karga Oasis, some Nubian sites that are in here. And so these are dating from 2.5 million years ago to 35,000 years ago. And the reason why I want to emphasize these Egyptian and Sudan sites and Ethiopian sites is people like to try to debate that Egypt is not the oldest civilization, that there wasn't even people there, but there's people have been in Egypt for millions of years. And I don't think that the Persian Gulf or Sumer can give millions of years timeline. They can give maybe hundreds of thousands that they have evidence of man there. But I don't think they can find evidence of millions of years ago. That's only in Africa. And then certain locations like near China, near the Himalayas, between France, there's like 4 or 5 other sites that are known. But it's not in Sumeria, in Sumer, with the Sumerians. Okay, ancient African site names, Omo, and the Nilotic people. So the Omo Basin and Omo is the only site in this list that has been consistently occupied for 5 million years or more. Omo is where DNA of mitochondrial Eve is found. Many of the names in these sites contain Hor, Kar, Kor, Cry, names we could associate with the words Christ, or Heru or Horus. Many Nilotic or Nile people of the Sudan are and were Nubian people and aquatic people living off the Nile River. And for thousands of years they centered around Khartoum, Sudan, in the Middle Nile Basin, where the White and Blue Niles join together. Here's a picture of the Dinka, some Dinka people from South Sudan. Okay, the Nilotic Nile people. They stretch from Egypt to Kenya, but are now mostly in South Sudan. At one time, they may have reached all the way into Canaan and the Persian Gulf. They are known for their tall stature. Nilotics are a branch of the Nilo-Saharan people and language family. So these are the people that lived on the Nile and they lived in the Sahara. When we think of Nilotic people and Nubians, we want to think of their origins of kingship and of the fundamentals of Christianity. Sorry, let me just fix this real quick. Okay. Lake Turkana and the Turkana people. It's tempting to translate it's tempting for me to translate Turkana into Egyptian, but I know it's not an Egyptian language. If you take out the vowels, you just get TKN. I want to translate it to the door of the god On, or the door of the spirit of the god On, or the door of the spirit of the god Nu. This is because Tur in German means door in English. Ka is spirit and Nu is the water. So I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about Nu today, and then I was thinking about the Nile people, and it just clicked for me that when they say they come from Nu, it means they come from the Nile. Right? Nu is the father of Ra, and then he's the grandfather of Osiris and Set and Isis. Okay, was this the door? So I'm asking here, was Lake Turkana the doorway or path to the Nile and the Ethiopian Rift Valley? 90% of the water in the lake comes from the southern Ethiopian highlands and the Omo River, and the lake does not have an outlet, so the water becomes salty. The Turkana people live off the fish and food around the lake. Here's a picture of Lake Turkana. Lake Turkana is an alkaline lake. The salt of the lake stays at the top. The water has a high pH, and the people will drink from it. The bottom of the lake is highly oxygenated, and epiphytal detritivores live there instead of invertebrates that would destroy the sediment structures. The water chemistry is dominated by sodium bicarbonate and chloride, which helps it to remain alkaline. So I wanted to include this alkaline portion because I know a lot of people are interested in that subject. So Lake Turkana is an alkaline lake, which is interesting, and the people actually drink from the lake. So okay, the lake contains a large population of wildlife such as fish, birds, crocodiles, and hippos. The lake is surrounded by volcanoes and contains a lot of volcanic material that dates to the Miocene and Pliocene periods. The basin is tectonically active, and there are 3 volcanic islands inside the lake. The one at the south causes a barrier blocking the outlet. The lake used to overflow into the White Nile in the early Miocene at different times, such as 102,000 years ago, 195,000 years ago, and possibly at 123,000 and 172,000 years ago. So it was overflowing into the White Nile. And they actually, in one of my previous videos, I didn't mention it here, but the Nile crocodile was able to get to the lake. Okay, 195,000 years ago would be near to the time of mitochondrial Eve. So Omo is not very far from the northern part of the lake. So those people that had held that DNA probably had a relationship with the lake. Okay, experts say the rich aquatic ecosystem reflects earlier communication with the Nile Basin. The Nile Basin is just the surrounding areas of the river. The lake is now surrounded by desert, and the lake is crucial to the people's survival. The lake now has a lower population than other lakes to the south. The precipitation was higher back then, allowing the lake to overflow into the Nile. Prior to this, around 1.9 million years ago, the lake would overflow to the southeast and flow into the Indian Ocean. The Turkana word for fireplace is etium, or etum. I don't know how they pronounce that, but etim. Now look at this word, and what does it remind you of? It looks like the Egyptian Atem or Adam, associated with fire in the fireplace. The sun is seen as a fireball and related to fire. The entrances to the Turkana's temporary homes, because they don't stay there forever, they move, always faces to the east, so that the man of the house will see the sun rising in the morning. The men can have multiple wives. Cattle defines wealth, and they all drink milk. The man is the leader of the house, and the extended family consists of all males and their families. Only those who can claim a common male ancestor. When a father dies, the son takes his place, and full-blooded brothers retain the next highest position in the family. Cattle are important to the Turkana. Wealth is seen in cattle, plus their milk and blood are used. They don't kill the cattle for the blood. They just poke a hole and let it squirt into a container and drink it, and the cow will still live. They only kill, so the cattle are not killed unless for a special occasion, ceremony, or ritual. So they actually worship beef, and they will only kill it for a special occasion. They don't eat it like we do every day, which is part of our problem. Cattle are branded with the insignia of the clan that they belong to. It's forbidden for Turkana to marry inside the clan. They keep secrets and the women know the rituals of the clan. The men meet under the shady trees to talk and the women tend to the gardens. All people are expected to behave and keep peace and order. Public ceremonies take place to resolve disputes and publicly acknowledge witches are killed. They believe in one great high god, a sky god named Akuj. Women milk the cattle at sunrise and at sunset. Camels and donkeys are used. They will not drink from or eat donkeys. They mock and despise donkeys. This is interesting when we think of the donkey in both Egypt and Christianity. Remember, each clan or tribe would have an animal totem to identify itself. The men wear a traditional hairstyle and wear headdresses. At birth, the males are split into two groups, the stones or the leopards. A son cannot belong to the same group as his father if he's married. If he is not married, he's put in the group opposite of his mother's father's group. This is trying to keep, right? They're trying to keep, I don't want to say the wrong thing. They're just trying to keep the father and the son separate for various reasons. They're gathered and grouped under different shade trees during the initiation ceremony. Okay, so then I'm putting in this how they gather and they hang out on shade trees. They're in the desert, but I just want to emphasize the importance of trees to them and how they would come outside, the men would gather under a tree and discuss issues that are going on. Discuss politics, discuss family, discuss things that are going on. Okay? Colors, insignia, and family ties distinguish the groups. Turkana men and initiation. Men's initiations are between the ages of 16 to 20 years old, and they slaughter a sheep at each group's initiation. All those initiated at the same time belong to the same age set. The sons will hold the same position as their fathers. The father will provide an ox for the first son or a goat for the second, which they must kill with a spear with one hit. Then they must go live with their represented patron for 5 days and do chores to show they are a responsible man. For the Turkana women and their initiation, it's a little different. They are also ordered to do chores and show what skills they have gained during childhood. Afterwards, her and her husband will walk into a bushy area and kill all the sacrificial animals that the husbands and families brought. After that, they will spend the night in that same bushy area. I'm interested in knowing how this may relate to the beliefs of the burning bush in the Bible. The next morning, they will be given their group name. And that's the end, and here's the bibliography. We have Chica Ephemisia in his book, or her book, Turkana, 1996, Rosen Publishing Group. And we have Jay Colding's book, Tropics, Models of Aquatic Ecosystems, 1993. And we have T.C. Johnson and J.O. Malala in their book Lake Turkana and its link to the Nile. Okay, thank you for watching. My name's Stephen Webb from San Diego. Take care. Have a good evening.